Hello and welcome to session 52 of my Pillars of Eternity Lorethrough. We are currently at Cadnua. Last session we found Persoc for Sagani. Persoc had inhabited the body of a white stag. She was able to talk to him, let him know about what happened, and now she wants to talk to us. We also visited Burial Isle for the first time. We got to the pit in the center that we need to jump down, but we didn't actually jump down it yet. So we are going to start right now just by having this conversation with Sagani, and then it will be time to descend into the pit at Burial Isle. So let's see what Sagani has to say.
A deer in the middle of Air Glonfoth.
Sagani shakes her head.
But I'm glad I can bring this success back to Masuk. And perhaps Persoc will return to us one day because of it.
Do you think Masuk will remember you the way they remember Persoc? Would be nice to know I've made a difference, and to get the first choice of caribou flank during festival time.
To be honest, the biggest relief is knowing that my journey was worthwhile. That finding Persoc and carrying our village's story to him will strengthen our community and return his soul to us. I'm looking forward to being back in Masuk among my family and my people. But more than anything, I'm glad to finally understand the purpose behind these last 5 years. What do you think? Do you feel as though you understand the purpose behind your hunt for Thaos?
I need to fix the evil he's perpetrated on the Deerwood.
That would bring hope to many people, Watcher. I hope you're able to accomplish it. Anyway, Thaos isn't getting any closer. I suppose we'd best keep after him.
Let's go. All right, so Sagani is done. She feels good about the end of her quest.
Last thing the deer would...
So first, just want to check out the Warden's Lodge. See if there's any more bounties. I won't hunt the bounties on camera this time if there are any more. So regardless of what the Warden says here, the next thing we'll be seeing on camera is jumping down the pit to the Burial Isle.
Hail, traveler!
What are the most recent bounties? You've taken down some dangerous foes. Impressive work. Kith Nothing can count on you. Still got a few more, though, if you fancy getting your hands dirty again. Let's see, there's a pack of wizards with a price on their heads. Then there's another bounty offer from the Glenfothan tribes. Last one is going to be rough. Ever tangled with a Vithrock before? Tell me about the wizards. Now this one, looks like someone crossed the Dominels. High Arcanist Easley. She and her cabal of wizards are holed up in the tower in Heritage Hill. Tell me about the Glenfothan bounty. The bounty's for Narok the Prophet, a Glenfothan exile. He was banished from his tribe for his extreme views. Narok's a cipher, and it seems like he's taken an interest in the Gwithan site north of Gilded Vale, Shillant Lys. Several tribes have pooled together the coin for his bounty. They say they don't want him tampering with some machine out there. I'm going after the Vithrock. Well, one of their exarchs, this Circle, has turned up in Pearlwood Bluff with some of his kin. The offer's unsigned, but it seems like someone doesn't want him sticking around. Farewell. Okay, so I'm going to hunt these guys off camera, and then I'll see you back here to turn in the heads. Killed my first mark. I forgot that there were sometimes unique items here that I would like to read on camera. So I killed the rogue sorcerers, and I got Pretty Pretty's Rib, which is a unique rod. Good Hope was a small town with a large graveyard. It was quiet and uneventful until someone or something started killing livestock, leaving dismembered and half-eaten bodies in the fields overnight for the farmers to discover the next morning. Certain that wolves or mountain lions were to blame, the townsfolk set up a nightly watch to stop the beasts. During one night's vigil, the town awoke to screams of pain and terror. They found the farmer on watch in the middle of the field, one shoulder a bloody stump, a horrific ghoul leaning over him. The ghoul saw the townspeople and fled, still gnawing on the wounded farmer's right arm. They got the farmer back to his house, and the healer did her best to repair the damage. When asked what had happened, all the farmer could manage was something that sounded like pretty, pretty. The ghoul came to be known as Pretty Pretty, and the villagers searched for someone to defeat it. Their cries for help were answered by a necromancer who kept a rib from the ghoul and made it into a rod. Gruesome, but I'm going to give that to Durance. Okay, pausing again. You're going to Heritage Hill and killing that last bounty. I realized that this lighthouse up here that was going to be turned into an inn, we never came back to see if it had progressed at all. So if it has, I wanted to be able to do this on camera so we could see what's going on and see what, I forget her name, has to say about it. It's Naya. How do you like what I've done with the place? She dusts her hands on her clothing. The rooms are still under construction, but I can get you food and drink if you like. Oh, so I guess there's nothing that's been expanded. I'll just double check upstairs, see if there's anything up there. Still working. Well, that's unfortunate. I killed Narek the Prophet and Sealant Lys, and I got the unique medium armor Allard Doer. Exceptional medium armor. An order of Glenfathan fighters earned the name Allard Doer, or Steel Swan, because of their prowess and theatrics in battle. Beautiful and resilient, they came to be known as an elite group of warriors that could not be stopped on the battlefield. The strongest of blows could not topple them. Each one of these breastplates inscribed with a swan, announcing to all who fought them that they were not to be trifled with. Okay. Alright, the last of these 3 bounties. Found unique light armor called Gwisk-Glass. Created by a Glenfathan monk, Gwisk-Glass, or Green Garb, was her way of honoring the forest that was her home. Clad in clothing designed to disguise her against the leaves and branches, she could sneak upon her quarry and attack while they were still unaware of her presence. Her strikes were powerful and sure, dealing devastating blows to those unfortunate enough to have angered her. She in turn proved as tenacious as a vine, for whenever she was struck down, she would rise again, ready to continue to fight. Okay, this was definitely the toughest group of bounties we've had so far. And the Vithrak especially were tough. Obviously, they have like these mind control powers and stuff like that. So I had to ward myself against that. And they took them a while for them to go down. Okay, turning in these bounties.
Greetings.
Yisli's dead. I'll drop a word with one of them Domnall agents. Here's the pay they had on offer. I brought Narok's head. Good. Last thing we need is ciphers tampering with ancient machines. Nothing good can possibly come of it. Here you are. You've earned it. There's one less Vithrak in the world. Circle's dead. Ugh, horde creatures, aren't they? If the client's not interested, I may just stuff and mount this one myself. In the meantime, here's your bounty. No more bounties. Nothing I'd bother you with. Every outlaw, beast, and charlatan seems to be avoiding the Deerwood because of you. Alright, so we're done with bounties. We got... Palagina finished her new quest. Joining 5 other Eastern Reach mercenaries, Palagina became a passenger on an Almaua longship. Swift and full of weapon-bearing soldiers, the ship came into regular conflict with pirates during the pursuit of Tama's kidnappers. Eventually, Palagina and the crew spotted the Valian caravel holding Tama and were able to overtake it before it reached open water. With grapples and a fair share of acrobatics, the mercenaries and Almaua soldiers boarded the caravel with Palagina in tow. The battle on the ship's deck was so thick with pistol fire that the smoke made it difficult to tell friend from foe. In the confusing melee, Palagina came face to face with the pirate captain. In the subsequent scuffle, the longship collided with the caravel and sent it lurching. The captain slid down a length of the deck and was knocked overboard by a poorly secured cannon. With their leader sinking beneath the waves, the remaining pirates quickly surrendered or dove into the water in an attempt to escape to a nearby island. Upon Tama's return, his friends and family held a huge feast to honor him, Palagina, and everyone else that helped save him. And we got a wreath, which gives us immunity to sickened and irritating. Oh, so when we get hit, then they get sickened. His beautiful lavender wreath was a gift from the famed Dalmau apothecary Tamawatoa. He made it at a feast after you rescued him from Valian mercenaries in the Deadfire Archipelago. Despite the age of the lavender, it still smells fresh. So we're going to take a rest, and then finally to Burial Isle.
Last thing the deer...
Or rather, the pit in Burial Isle. Also, while we're running, quick reminder that I am recording the Endless Paths of Cadnua. Currently, I have gone through all but the final floor. So I've done 14 floors, and I am currently on the 15th floor. But those will be separate videos that are released, not like part of the actual lore through themselves. Can I upgrade my armor to superb? No. That's right, I need Otter Dragon scales for that. So we are headed now, once again, to Burial Isle, the pit. That hopefully absorbing all those souls will allow us to descend without dying. Oh, I can't just go there. That's unfortunate. Brutish warrior, so who should I... Oh, what's going on over here? Oh, I thought I was on Burial Isle. Interesting that we can see these souls here. I believe I absorbed them already, so I wonder if they'll disappear when we get here. For that reason, I just want to watch this screen. So are there other souls that we need to absorb here as well? I wonder if it's supposed to happen, because we absorbed these souls our first time here. I wonder if this is a glitch, that they're still hanging out here, or if they only stay with you as long as you're on Burial Isle and they leave you when you leave. Alright. A great pit lies in the shadow of the statue of Woedica. No light from the surface reaches the bottom, but even so, you catch flickers of a ghostly glow in the depths. A wind from the pit buffets you. It isn't cold, but it raises gooseflesh along your arms. The wind carries a whisper, low and sibilant. As you look into the pit, souls gather around you. They encase you in a cloud of essence that swirls around your body while you consider your next move. Jump into the pit. You jump, trusting in the promises of the gods and the power of the souls to bear you safely down. The sudden drop takes your breath away, but the souls catch you, encasing you in a shining, thrumming aura. But while they slow your descent, you can feel that you are falling faster than you should. The essence flowing around you is strong but chaotic. You find yourself drifting toward the wall. The wall, Bjarter! Reach for a companion. You reach out and feel a hand, strong and sure, wrap around your forearm. It tugs you away from the wall, just as you feel your toe graze something. You manage to spread your arms and leg into an X, steadying your position and the rate of your descent. You reach the court of the penitents, millennia-old stones safely under your feet. Okay, so this is, because I'm high level for this, then I can actually up the difficulty of it. I'm not going to do that, but that is an interesting decision that they realize it might be too easy for some parties and they might want a little bit more of a challenge. But I'm still going to go with standard.
After what seems like an eternity, your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end. You remain still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath, their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. You look above at the opening you jumped through, now barely a speck of light like some distant star alone in the cosmos and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
Okay. So we're at the bottom of this pit.
Well, that went better than I expected.
Think I dislocated my... That's better.
Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me, then. That was bracing.
Everyone has something to say except for Durance. I'm surprised, but glad. Don't really want to hear from him. Looks like there's no way out of here. Let's go.
All right, then. And the fire shows me something new.
A millennium's worth of dust fills in the cracks and crevices of this skeletal relief. Skeletal relief, okay.
Now this... I have...
Spectre. Some shades. Not too difficult yet.
That's settled.
The pillar tugs at your essence. A pulse from the world itself moves through it. So I wonder if these pillars go all the way to the center of the earth. Or there's something about that in the Endless Paths of Adnua, about how there are pillars of Adra that all meet in the same place in the center of Iovara somewhere. Adra Animat here.
You're not getting through me.
Quietly now.
And in this Adra, there are stones.
You're not getting through me.
Not a sound.
Same thing as the other pillar.
Breith Eaman.
What this thing is this something that's spawning the Animats? This little structure here?
Leave it to me.
A simple test.
Course. Nice and quiet.
So these are called Soul Adra prisons. So are they trapping souls in them? There's another one here. Iovara, a column of Adra rises above you, stoic and silent, its ridged layers a measuring stick for the passing of ages. It feels to you as a thick block of ice, and you perceive buried deep in its core a dim, flickering flame, all but extinguished, yet preserved against the ravages of the elements. At your approach, the flame seems to steady and draw strength, and the layers separating it from you melt away, and you're bathed in its glow, a bright beacon in the gloom. The glow seems to fade as though you had adjusted to its intensity, and where it was, Iovara seeps into existence, an idyllic shape hovering above the moist prison floor. Though ageless, she appears somehow different to you now. A slight stoop to her carriage, perhaps, or a trace of sunkenness in her eyes. There's a broad scar across her face, fibrous and wormy where flames once lapped, unhealed even in death.
Hello, brother. It has truly been ages.
So she's speaking to us now.
You are so different now from who you were then, yet much remains the same. Old troubles with a new face. What is it that has brought you here?
It would seem that I have unfinished business here.
I'd hoped after our last discussion you would find what you sought. Has it eluded you all this time? I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Thaos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here now. They do not come by choice.
Thaos diverted them from the cycle. He seeks to empower Woedica and to blame Animancy for the damage he's caused.
After all this time, he would still stand against the tide.
So not only is she speaking directly to us, she recognizes the soul of her brother in us, but she seems to also recognize that thousands of years have passed. You knew me when Thaos did. There's something I need to know about that time.
I will tell you what I remember.
There's something about the lifetime my soul can't let go of. I need to know what it is, and I'm running out of time. I see moments from that life, of you, of the Inquisition, of Thaos.
I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was. He had inspired something in you. We spoke of him the last time you were here also.
The last time, so our past self had come down here before.
It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true.
So my sister Iovara started to get through to this past self of mine. And what was that? Iovara's mouth tightens, and her brow furrows, a look of pity. Her eyes shift back and forth between each of yours, as if looking for something that would help her decide whether to speak.
That the gods aren't real.
So this is the big reveal here at the end of the game.
Huh. I dreaded the idea from the moment the Delimgon suggested it. And yet, it almost feels like a relief. She's not serious.
Perhaps not to her. Many are those whom the gods have scorned. This is petty retribution.
There's a theory puts my boldest to shame. But we ourselves have seen the gods' influence.
That doesn't seem possible.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
How did you discover this?
The Anguithan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them, and in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. I found the door to their chambers closed, but the room was stone and the door thin. Their voices carried. I heard enough. I investigated the things they spoke of, and everything was there, just as they said it'd be.
So the gods then were created. And the people who did the creating didn't want the secret to get out. So they just kind of let their souls fade from memory, as it says here. Later on, I left the order. A few Anguithans found my words persuasive and joined my cause. They revealed what I did not already know. Who created these gods? And for what?
They were conceived by Enguith, a society of high minds and broad concerns. Thaos' people. In their time, every people worshipped its own gods. Sometimes they warred over it. After a few wars of their own, the Anguithans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators.
So it seems like because of the wars that were being fought in the name of gods, they wanted to actually find these gods, these creators.
Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world and unlocked its secrets. One day, they found an answer. Except the answer was no answer at all. There were no gods to be found. Or if there ever were, they were gone.
So the people who were doing the searching found nothing. They found that there were no gods.
It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? But they had mastered many things in their pursuit of these answers. And with their mastery, they crafted their own gods to fill the void, and sent missionaries to the corners of the world to spread their faith.
So their answer to this finding of theirs was to create their own gods. If the gods don't actually exist, then we might as well make some. This one here, I have to choose this now. This is why you started your own faith. I held off on this one because I don't think it's faith when it's like actually like scientific findings. So I think that word is wrong. I wonder if she'll point that out in her response to this. So this is why you started your own faith.
I never thought of it as faith, but I think you are right to call it that. Let the world see. Let them decide what to do. That was my faith.
So tell them the truth and see how they act afterwards.
I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed, that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth living for. I began questioning the other missionaries in public, exposing their parlor tricks. In time, their following became mine.
So Iovara, when she realized that there were no gods, she decided that this was like a really dark thing. But then after a while, she was like, wait, nothing's changed. I'm still the same person. And because of that, she thought that other people might come to the same conclusion as her. And she seems to have been convincing other people to follow her cause. Is it true, what you taught?
You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof, and it may be certainty your soul craves. Resolution. But if you are bound for the same place Thaos directs these souls, you will see for yourself, as you once did.
So I'm gonna see the proof.
Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the stomach to ask what if. And in avoiding the question, they deny themselves an identity of their own.
So like everybody realizes this at some time, but they just don't want to admit it to themselves. Which is probably why Iovara's findings didn't catch on, because people just kind of didn't want to hear it. It's very hard to be taught something for your entire life and then all of a sudden accept the exact opposite of that thing. So it seems like many people, even though the proof was there, even though they knew that what she was saying was true, they still didn't want to believe it. Iovara scans her audience in silence, her eyes thoughtful, lingering on each member of your company in turn, finding interest in things unseen.
What if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
What if all the tragedy, all the persecution came in defense of an imposter? In other words, if all of these wars were fought for nothing, were fought for gods that didn't exist, I think that's what she's saying.
But that's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
The power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
She said that one to Durrance.
I have seen with my own eyes the deceptions of my goddess. The Watcher has shown me as much. But it was not until now that I understood how truly desperate she was. The depths of her deception.
You speak of her deceptions, but what of your own? Was it her words that led you down your path? Or was it the absence of her words? A gap that you filled with your own broken thoughts.
Beads of sweat coalesced in Durrance's forehead and trickled down the sides of his face in streaming rivulets, as though he were a block of ice standing before a great pyre.
What if you had always been alone, without guidance?
This she says to Aloth.
Well, as poorly as I've chosen my guides, I suppose it would be a comfort to know that I'm free of them.
So he almost finds comfort in this realization that the gods aren't what people think they are.
The freedom has always been. It was the guidance that was the illusion. If all our common threads are spun from a lie, what's left to bind us together?
She says that to Kana.
All of us across Eora are trying to survive, to make sense of the world. What could better bind us together than that struggle?
The struggle of realizing that all of these things are a lie, I think?
We'll find our own truths. Make them if we must. We don't need an ancient lie to bolster us. United, the Angwithans created gods. Mortal men and women coming together to do the impossible. Let us surpass them.
So Kana almost finds inspiration in this. He realizes that mere mortals made the people that they call gods now. So why can't they do something even more impressive? Why can't we now do something even more impressive?
What if our burdens come to us not because they are meant to be, but because they happen to be?
This she says to Sagani.
They shape us all the same. It doesn't matter how I drew the small tooth, or even that Pursock had become a deer. The task fell to me, and I completed it.
You feel the weight of Iovara's translucent eyes upon your soul. What if we can be assured of nothing? So here's my options here. I'll read them all out loud. Then the only value is in the things we create ourselves. Then we had best build our own strength, so we can bear it. Then, only when we cease to exist as beings can peace be found. Then it is the questions that have always posed more value than their answers. Then fewer people who realize it, the better. Then all we can do is endure. I like this one. Then it is the questions that have always posed more value than their answers.
Well, isn't that what brought us here? Seeking the man who's haunted you for lifetimes? Who I've unwittingly followed for years?
A question is a journey, and a journey is what makes us who we are, it's true. But when one journey leads only to the next, then where may one find rest? I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
So she's not saying that the gods aren't real here. I think maybe she did use those words, but the gods are very undeniably real. But they are not actually gods. They are created. So when we talk about gods, depending on your definition of a god, if you mean a creator, if you mean somebody who had a hand in creating people, wildlife, animals, thoughts, consciousness, and those kinds of things, then these are not actual gods. If your definition of God is merely someone who can grant boons, someone with immense power, someone who is immortal, then maybe these are gods, even though they were created. So she's not simply saying that they don't exist, that Aethys and Malgrin and them don't exist. She's just saying that they aren't what we would traditionally consider gods. And she says that realizing that means that you can find beauty in something beyond that. It doesn't just end with the gods. There are other questions to ask and other answers to unfold. We do. Even without assurances, there is still truth. She is asking if we owe ourselves a chance to find our part in this beauty of the truth.
If that is truly what you believe, then you are a far different person than the one I knew.
So the soul carrying through my body, through bodies, has changed in me.
I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. But there is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know. Until I understand.
First time, hints of doubt trace her serene visage.
I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember?
But this is asking about what a previous body did. I was afraid of what Thaos might do to me if I didn't agree to do it.
Woedica gifted him a great many things, but his ability to manipulate was always his own. Good. The things I taught, the things I believed, I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't because...
Because what? I needed to know it wasn't because, after everything you'd learned, you'd still rather believe in a lie. If that is the conclusion people reach once they know everything, then my purpose has been a mistake. So, she would be disconcerted if people, knowing the truth, still wanted to believe in the lie, and that's why they refused to follow her, which does seem to be what a lot of people would do. But for her brother especially, it would have been difficult for her to bear. Did my opinion matter so much to you?
I've always looked up to you, since we were children. You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who?
You're never going to be able to convince everyone of anything, true or not. There will always be dissent.
I expected dissent, but I needed to know that true faith would prevail. Perhaps I've been wrong to place so much importance on one person's actions. It was all I could do to feel like there was an answer. Even knowing what you've told me, some part of me knows it doesn't truly answer what I wished to know, nor will an eternity of silent contemplation. I will have only my guesses and suspicions, and that will have to do. And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made?
I see the world differently now than I once did. I regret what I did to you and wish your forgiveness.
I have always forgiven you. Whatever your reason, no quarrel of ideas can sever ties of blood and essence. No parting of ways can erase memories of times without worry. Times when even without gods, we were never truly alone.
No parting of ways can erase memories of times without worry. Times when even without gods, we were never truly alone. Talking about their bond, I guess.
At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish, but now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Thaos that your agony lies, in sun and shadow. Your questions are not for me, but for him. And it may be that only an answer from the mouth of Thaos himself will satisfy your needs.
So she can't give us the answers we want. It's gotta be Thaos. It says Bjarta was granted steps to the wheel.
Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know.
Are you bound here until the end of time?
In a matter of speaking. This is Breith Eaman, the court of the penitents. Souls are confined here until they repent. They must beg the forgiveness of a god, pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. In truth, they receive leniency, but not true mercy. The spite of Woedica is eternal. They linger above, at the side of the old court, and are not permitted to leave the island, forever severed from the cycle.
So this is a place where souls go when they anger the gods, I guess?
This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition. But time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning. You have brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Thaos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then.
So is she the only one here then, because she's the only one that never gave up on her desire to spread the truth that the gods aren't what people think they are? And then we brought some down here with us. The other gods aid me because they want Thaos destroyed. I owe them no debt.
They aid you because they would bend you to their own purposes. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing.
An ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing.
But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end.
Why don't you repent? You could be free of this place.
Last time someone asked me that, I was bound to an iron wheel with a broken spine. There are many things I've come to doubt about the choices I made in life. But that trial was my one moment of certainty, even without a chorus of gods to tell me I had been right.
I think that must have been what Thaos was doing to her on top of the pit.
The gods need to be reminded that we have a spirit, and that spirit is proof against their power. They have the power to manipulate and confuse and ruin us, but not to change our will. I will remain here until the world crumbles and fades from existence, with joy in my heart, knowing I've shown them what they truly are.
So there's no way she's going to repent. This place, Sun and Shadow, what is it? I could tell you what I believe, but again, it would be no proof. I have only what I have seen and what others have told me about it. There is only one man who can tell you now, who knows it for a certainty, and you shall face him soon enough. I will leave you to see it for yourself. Make your own judgments. Better for your soul that way, I think. How is it you speak Adiran? I speak no language now but the wordless expressions of the spirit. It is through my connection to you that I am able to draw upon your words and form them as my own. Do you know what it is I need from Thaos?
I could not say for sure. But you have been to Sun and Shadow before, and it came at a crossroads in your life, when much of what you knew had been upended. I have to believe it will come to you there. Your concerns then were of loyalty and trust and the gods. Everything I told you seemed to send you further into doubt. His words mattered to you when you knew him then. After you and I spoke, you went immediately to seek him out. Perhaps you simply sought confirmation from the man you trusted. If something from that time still troubles you, it may be something he told you then, or refused to tell you. He keeps secrets better than any in this world.
So whatever this thing is, Iovara doesn't know. Why has Thaos done all this?
He cares only for the secret he keeps locked away. He destroys anyone who might discover it, no matter their chances.
So that is Thaos' purpose, to make sure no one sees that the gods were created.
That's why he's always favored Woedica. It isn't in her love of promises or justice. It's her disregard for the rules. her willingness to do what is necessary. To Thaos, she's not a deity, but an ally with which to conspire. When her power waxes, she does as she pleases with this realm, as well as hers. And she wants that secret guarded as much as he.
So kind of working together.
If Thaos succeeds, there will be a shift in the balance of power among the gods. Woedica was vanquished once, when the other gods decided she had gone too far, and her power diminished. With this infusion, there is no telling what she will do. The only certainty is that there will be chaos in their realm, as well as ours.
So that's what Thaos has been trying to do this whole time, return power to Woedica, because her power was diminished when the gods vanquished her, however long ago that was. How can I get Thaos to tell me what I need to know?
You will not find a more resolute being on all of Eora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides. But I see you have become a watcher in this life. Perhaps in defeat, when he can no longer defend himself, you might learn something from him.
In other words, he's not going to give it up willingly, but if we look into his spirit, then we might be able to figure out the answer. It's time for me to go.
Thaos will not wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again.
The gods have given me the souls of their forgiven. If you repent, you could join with them. Help me strike the final blow against Thaos. I'm not going to ask her to do that. Then I will waste no more time. Farewell, Iovara.
It is a cruel fate to wait all this time to be reunited with my only brother, only to be forced to part soon after. But then, what is life but a series of brief encounters with those we love? If ever we should meet again, in this life or any other, I hope to find you at peace.
Okay, so that was a lot of information. Iovara, at some point in the past, discovered the truth about the gods, that they were actually created. And I already went into the idea of, depending on your definition of gods, they may or may not actually be gods. It's not that they're not real, it's that they aren't creators. And she wanted to spread that story and was hounded because of it by Thaos, by her own brother, and because of her convictions, she is the only one that's still down here, which means she feels so strongly that the truth needs to be shared that she is unwilling even to repent her own soul. And because her soul is unwilling to repent, they don't want it returning to a separate life. They want her to stay down here until she's not going to spread the truth anymore. So the gods are afraid of it. However, when people learn things like this, they sometimes choose not to believe it just because it shatters their entire worldview. And we saw that happening with this brother here, the person who Iovara knew. We see that he was unable to actually follow her because he couldn't admit to himself that what she was saying was true. So even when you have a truth like this, and this speaks to real life as well, even when you have a truth like this, people just don't want to hear it. It doesn't matter how much evidence, doesn't matter what you, how you prove what you are saying, how you prove your lessons, how you prove what you found. There are still some people that, given all the proof in the world, they're still going to not believe you simply because to do so would shatter everything that they already believe. And that's not an easy thing to do, which I think is why this idea hasn't spread further, because she wanted to spread it further, but people were just unwilling to believe what she was sharing with them. So big reveal at the end of the game here. Before we actually visit Thaos and actually see him and have our final confrontation with him. But Iovara has given us a lot to think about before we actually do that. She is exceptionally strong, which is why she hasn't repented yet. And we could have asked her to repent and join us. I don't know that she would have, but it didn't seem right to try and ask her of that. That's the one thing that she has held true to for thousands of years, trapped here as just a soul. So thank you, as always, for joining me. This has been session 52 of the Pillars of Eternity Lorethrough. I think it's time to stop for now, but next time we will pick up down here, below the earth. The name of this place, Breith Eaman, I think she said. And yeah, we will figure out what lies below. I'll see you then. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and thank you, as always, for joining me this time. Bye, everybody.